G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we're on the ranked ladder watching two of the world's best players face off against one another. We've got ourselves quite a good matchup here. One of my OG favourite civilizations up against one of the new civilizations. So let's get to it. In the south of the map, in the colour purple, playing as the Knights Templar, we've got Demu. And in the north of the map, in the colour blue, playing as the Chinese, we've got Ayyubids, who I'm going to say right now, I'm not going to be calling him Ayyubids for the rest of our game, just probably because I'm destroying the tones on that one. But I will just say right now, we'll be calling him our Chinese friend, because he's playing the Chinese, and I suspect he's probably Chinese with a name like that. So anyway, let's get into it and talk a little bit about where we're currently at. So of course, there was a bit of a recent balance patch that has hit. The Knights Templar weren't hit that hard in this balance patch. They got a couple buffs, couple nerfs, but I'm curious to see how Demu plays it, because it's been quite a while since we've casted his game, and I'll be honest with you, I always enjoy watching Demu games. It's great to watch him evolve as a player, and if you enjoy these games as well, make sure you go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all those good things that us YouTubers encourage you guys to do. And let's talk a little bit about what we can expect this game. So on the Chinese front, I mean, the last place that we realistically saw the Chinese were in a professional scouts meta. Oh, another thing to note, I've changed my microphone settings just because I've got my son upstairs and he's getting into, how do I say this kindly, gymnastics, and he's he's jumping off the couch, and that's obviously quite loud, and so I just want to like try and minimize the amount of sound that's getting through to you guys. So let me know how these new settings are. I'm just a bit fearful about the settings, because you never know. Anyway, there you go. So yeah, I guess realistically where we left off with the Chinese, they were a professional scout civilization, a 1 TC civilization that could obviously always move into a 2nd TC after the Castle Age. So I'm curious to see exactly how our Chinese friend looks to play this game. Meanwhile, on the side of Demu, he's going to be looking to age up right about now. Let's take a look and see which option he goes for. He's obviously got 3 options, and he's going to go for the Kingdom of France. So there's 3 primary options that you've got at the first level: the Kingdom of France, the Principality of Antioch, or the Knights Hospitaller. And it definitely feels like players are trending towards these two a little bit more so than this one right here. And I think that's primarily because of the units that you've got. The Kingdom of France, you get a pretty nice bonus as well, the reduction on the cost of gold units for the rest of the game, so you get some pretty good synergies there. But the big thing for me is the fact that you unlock a unit called the Chevalier, and it is a pseudo-knight unit. It's very similar to the standard French knight. One of the cool bonuses is that it gets more health depending on how many Chevaliers are nearby. And this can stack up over the course of a game. Obviously, the longer the game goes, the more units there are. So it is a cool little mechanic. The other thing to note with it is that it allows you to have a bit of a more open play style. It lets you take control of the map because you've obviously got a knight unit. So I think this makes a lot of sense going into this early, and I'm curious to see exactly how Demu looks to play this. We can see he's stacking up quite a bit of resources in the bank. Not the fastest age up, by the way. Looks like it's going to be about a 322 age up. Immediately goes for safe passage. We'll take a look at where these sacred sites are. Now, keep in mind, this is on high view. Now, one thing to note about high view is the way that it used to work is you used to have a sacred site all the way in the bottom corner, and you used to have a sacred site in the top corner, and then you'd have a sacred site in the middle. As you'll see, they've now fixed these sacred sites to the edges of the map. On top of that, they've given it the whole map a new pass, basically, a bit of a balance pass, I guess you could probably say, in the sense that they've obviously fixed this up, but they've also put in a couple of abandoned outposts, and I love this. These are neutral. They can't be destroyed. They can only be fought over and secured, similar to a sacred site in that regard, except any unit can do it, and it's going to provide a whole bunch of line of sight. So hopefully we see these players look to fight over them, and they're obviously going to be instrumental in any defense players look to have across this map. But we'll check in now on the north side of the map and see how Ayyubids is doing. Looks like he is doing absolutely well at this stage. No second town center on the cards just yet, but gathering up a lot of wood early on in this game. He's got the 2nd Imperial Official out, probably going to have the 3rd one. There's the 3rd one out. That's the sort of key timing that you're looking for here. And we'll double check and see what upgrades he's gone for. No upgrades just yet coming through from him. So we'll keep an eye on exactly what the plan is, as the stable's now going to be coming up for him as well. So let's check in now. Demu, his pilgrim's going to be moving out across the map, and there's about to be some wolf noises, so apologies. This should be a 130. Yeah, it's a 130. Very, very far. Little position he's got to make it to, and we can actually see he's changed the route on his next pilgrims. How far are these ones? These ones are much closer, so I'm going to go with like 108 gold on these ones. 117, 122, that's actually pretty good. I honestly think you're better off getting a pilgrim passage that's closer to like 130 but isn't 130. Just because it caps at 130. And you got to remember that at the end of the day, even though you're capped at 130 gold per minute because of the way that pilgrims work, they come out of the town center every minute, and they'll go wherever it is you want them to go. But the thing is, you'll only ever be getting that 130. It's not like the trader in the sense that it's based off how far they've gone. They've got an upper cap of 130 and a lower cap, or a floor, so you've got a floor and a ceiling. The floor is 65 gold. So in my mind... Whoa, what's going on here? That was a bit of a weird one. In my mind, it makes sense to go as close as you can to the 130 without hitting the 130. I mean, if you can guarantee that it's a 130, I don't know. I guess there's different ways to think about it, right? If you can secure a route that gives you 130, then it definitely makes sense. And you can see Demo's probably going to be taking that route right here. And I'm curious to see exactly what the response is going to be from our Chinese player, because we do have a number of scouts starting to move out. So professional scouts is probably going to be coming through shortly. You can see how expensive it is. Our Chinese player is looking to save up for it. Probably hasn't read the patch notes and has just said to himself, hold on a minute, why are you so damn expensive, professional scouts? What is going on? You can see he's got all the deer out here, or all the scouts out here ready to go bring these deer back. But we're at 6 minutes already, and he's really taking his time to get here. We also have the racks now starting to come up. Now, meanwhile, behind the scenes, we do see he's got a little bit of an idea on as to where the enemy is up to. Professional Scout's going to be coming in at that 6-minute 20 mark. And the horseman now moving down towards the south side. You can see he's got that attack move route heading towards the sacred... No, it's not even the sacred side. It's the abandoned outpost. And Demo is looking to pick it up. But of course, at the end of the day, I think the Chevalier should beat the horseman quite handily. And indeed, it does appear to do so. You can see it's barely taking any damage there compared to the horseman, which is about... I wouldn't quite say half health, but it's pretty damn close. We do see the two pilgrims in the north make that connection. So Demo feeling so far so good, I would say, with his opening. He's got a lot of success through with his pilgrims. The Chevalier number is starting to rise. He's got the double archery range as well, and now starting to move into the blacksmith. So looking to play it out a little bit longer in the feudal age. Spears together with the horsemen, though, making their way down towards this south side. Pilgrim still on the move, and we'll ride on board now with our Chinese players. The professional scouts are coming back in. He's looking to bring them online, keep those numbers up. Military focus is going to be what he's all about right now. We can see he's still looking to pick up more and more of these deer. We'll ride on board with Demo, as he's now picked up possession of the abandoned outpost. He's got the one in the north, and you can see just how far the outpost radius is. Now, I think there's only 2 outposts on this map. If we take a look, yeah, there's one down here in the south and one over here in the north. If you could split these, I guess you could call one north, one south. Yeah, there's only the 2 of them so far. So I'm going to try, give me a sec. I'm going to sit back in my chair here. I'm going to put the legs up. I'm going to try and cast for you guys. Sorry, there's going to be some loud noises there. And hopefully there's not too many issues with this, because I'm getting chilled out. I'm relaxing right now, because I think these guys are sort of gearing up towards a potential battle. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, got a bit of an expansion out here. Still no sign of a second town center, which I think makes sense at this stage. But I do note that the meta is starting to shift a little bit with regard to the second TC. Mainly because of civilizations like the Knights Templar. But for the moment, it looks like the horsemen are able to get decent connections. Spears get eaten alive. And Demu's early army is definitely going to be striking quite hard against the army of his Chinese opponent. Meanwhile, up in the north, Spearman versus Chevalier combo. Not too successful for the Chevalier, as you would expect. But plenty more numbers on the way. Upgrades also on the way here for our Chinese player. It looks like he's going to go castle, judging from the resources in the bank. But it can always be difficult to know. He hasn't started collecting. Actually, no, I take it back. There's only 5 deer out here. I want to double check and make sure that there's 3, 4, 5, 6... No, there's 60 here. So he has started collecting out from that corner, and we could see more scouts heading out there. But now Demo looking to come through, and you can see these deer actually being brought back as we speak. Demo trying to find an angle. Of course, this outpost is going to be not enough to hold off these units, I suspect. We can see the Chevalier together with the archers going to look to try and dive underneath. They've got the village nearby if he wants to dive in. But for the moment, he's able to hold. So I think it might be a smart idea to actually move into an emplacement on this outpost just to try and keep back these units, because you can see the age up. It wants to come through. At least our Chinese friend wants this age up through, and you're going to have to drop those deer, my friend. You can see he's got plenty of units on the way, but unfortunately, these 2 deer are going to be going down. He's got the scout with the army as well, so should be able to track all the rest of the scouts. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, we do see now we've got the boar being taken. Plenty of action all over this map early on. Mainly going to be about food control so far. But it's curious to see exactly how these players are developing, how the meta is developing. We're all going to be keeping an eye on that and watching as these players look to try and evolve their play styles and look to try and always keep one up on the enemy. But so far, our Chinese player looks to be playing a pretty standard style here. Imperial Palace now going to be coming up. Beautiful little position that he's got on it. We'll check in with him as this line of sight's about to come through. You can see the age up 9 villages on it. He's about to have line of sight over absolutely everything. Here we go. Let's take a look at how much of a difference it is. And yeah, you can see right there, it's like cheating. He's also got access to Imperial spies. Once he gets a bit of a raiding force out here at the moment, though, the palace guards are now in queue. 6 palace guards all up in the same barracks. It looks like they're being supervised out, so it's not going to take too long to get them out. But we're right on board with Demu now because he's got great control over this map. It feels very good in this position right now to have this kind of control. You feel safe. You don't feel like much can really hurt you here. So we'll see whether the palace guards are going to be able to really cause much pain or anguish. Keep in mind that Demu is probably going to be looking towards a castle age as well. I think the main focus from here could probably just be on maxing out those chevaliers. Archers should be able to deal with the spears, and it feels like our Chinese player is just somewhat throwing away these units. Vil's going to get spotted towards the north, and I think, yeah, a bit questionable of a movement right here, as Demu should be able to clean up those Vils without too much of a hassle. And his opponent falls back away from that position. Of course, the berries were what he was seeking. Being denied those deer a little bit earlier has meant that he's run out of food. You can see he's still got plenty of scouts over here. Looks like a new amount of deer has just come through, but now on the front side, this army looks a little bit more fierce. I'm a little bit concerned right now for Demu. He is looking to click up behind this, but I suspect he could have a bit of trouble with this. The Lancer combination in particular is going to make this very difficult to deal with. He's trying to sack the Chevalier and let the archers get away. Keep in mind, this is all stealth forest, so realistically, from the side of our Chinese player, you don't really see too much. Age up about to come through for Demu. He's got 3 options once again. Let's take a look and see which way he goes. And it is going to be into the Angevin Empire, which is going to allow him to build their heavy spearmen, one of my favorite units when it comes to the Knights Templar. Such a fun unit. It works out to do about similar damage to the man-at-arms. The only difference is it's weak against nothing, realistically. Maybe the crossbow is probably the biggest exception, but to be fair, I think if you go up, like, if you get up nice and close with crossbow with a whole bunch of heavy spearmen, you're probably going to be okay, especially if you're mixing in other units as well. But they're a great unit. They're just kind of like a set and forget unit. You know how like the Japanese samurai is the same kind of way? But now we see those Lancers and Palace Guards making a raid over to the other side of the map. Vil count going to start dropping down as well. Our Chinese player picking up a couple of villager kills already. And there's the age up now arriving. Immediately, we start to see the heavy spearmen in queue together with the crossbows archer upgrade as well. It's got plenty of units still out. Vil's on the gold, going to get caught out of position. A little bit curious that he's actually working out here. Typically, the pilgrims are going to be doing quite a lot of gold generation just by themselves. Oh, excuse me. I've just had a coffee, so that's I guess that's the coffee speaking right there. But yeah, I mean, so far in this game, so far so good for Demu at this stage. We'll check in though with his opponent. The heavy spearmen are about to come out and are going to look to rain on his parade. You can see those spearmen trying their best to chase the palace guards, barely able to keep up on the charge. Let's check in now with our Chinese friend. So palace guard numbers are rising. He's got the first of the monks out as well. So we'll be looking to start picking up the relics. So definitely the right play. A lot of archers back here. Veterancy will be on them shortly. They do 6 damage at the moment. He's got 5 armor, which means they're only doing a single point of damage for each one. Heavy spears, though. Let's see exactly how much work they can do. Crossbows on the back line as well. You can see the Lancers trying to get around here, but there's a lot of units positioned well for the Chinese player, and it looks like he will be able to overrun early on in this castle age. The numbers continue to build out of control, realistically. Demu having a bit of trouble, a little bit of a movement around that as well. Towards the north side, the knight comes through. You can see he's starting to take a little bit more damage now. The archers did get their upgrade, doing 8 damage now to that 5 armor. So basically tripling the damage that veterancy upgrade does. More Vils, though, down on the south side. These Vils, they are a good-looking set of Vils, I'll say that right now. But Lancers come through. He spots the villagers out, immediately moves them down, chasing the army away to the north. The army probably going to be going down here, but at the end of the day, Demu, unfortunately, going to be forced off that gold. Bore over towards the west side. Just remember, we saw it. We saw it. Did he lose 2? I think he lost 2 just there. I think that was a loss of 2. But I tell you what, Demu's lost a fair few villagers. Have a look at this Vil count. Down to 33. vills compared to 45. He's lost 13 villages because these lancers have been cleaning up, and Demu having a little bit of trouble in this castle age. Archer numbers continue to look good. +2, still not through just yet for our Chinese player, and we'll switch it over to income per minute, get a bit of an idea on where these two currently stand as they face off against each other. Palace Guard called away from the outpost, but moved back over towards it, wanting to capture it for himself. Relic number 2 on the way back as well. We'll check in with Demu now and see how he's doing as he looks to rebuild what he has lost. So hopefully he's switched up his idea. So the Pilgrim's now going to be moving towards the north, which is definitely a smarter move considering that's where his military units are going to be focused. And we can see up towards that top side, the Palace Guard is slowly working down this abandoned outpost. But keep in mind that the way that it works is the more units you've got nearby, the faster it's going to be going up or it's going to be going down. So you can see right there just how quickly you can capture an outpost if you've got a whole bunch of units that are on it. So Demu now able to secure that outpost, guarantee that it's in his possession, at least for the moment. More units down to the south, going to be doing the same thing here. And I tell you what, it feels so nice to be playing this map. I historically have absolutely despised this map. I really don't like it. I always feel like there is a raid just waiting in the woods for me, and it's just one of those things where you can't really take a gamble. You have to play very safe, because anytime you take a gamble, you're just going to get caught off guard, and that's probably a good thing, you know, when it comes to that kind of map style. But it could also be a bad thing, because it definitely doesn't reward gambling behavior, right? Like, it just makes everybody play safe, which is why often you see people look to try and boom on this map or build up a lot of walls on this map, because it's the safe thing to do. And every, you know, if your enemy's playing safe, you probably want to try and play safe as well. Otherwise, they can start taking risks against you. But if we check exactly how our Chinese player is doing, we will see the second town center is down. The Vil count is going to start to build. Now, the hard part right now for our Chinese defender is surviving while you transition. So he's going to be looking to transition over to farms shortly. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in the next 3 to 4 minutes. He's going to need it. But no Barbican just yet. And with no Barbican, it means that you've got access to no granaries. With no granaries, you've got access to reduced power on your farms. So expect him to look to go into that Barbican, but more heavy spear on the backside, doing some decent damage here. They're going to be able to jump all those villagers inside now, into the village, inside the outpost. Relic's getting picked up, and you can see he's actually angled the monk around the sacred site so it doesn't trigger the sacred site, as to alert Demu of what his opponent is up to. But we see more vills coming out now. The Templar brother, hell yeah brother, Templar brother coming out right now. And meanwhile, Demu's done a great job in just bringing this army to the north, because all of these units now are just stuck up here, right? And Demu's just over on the other side of the map. He's down towards the south of the base. He's just everywhere right now, just running rings around his opponent. But we do now start to see a fortress coming up, looking to try and empower the sacred site that's here. Keep in mind, Demu's still yet to pick up any of the relics on the map. There is that one single relic down towards the south. Does his opponent know about it just yet? He does know about it, but obviously the furthest one away means it's not going to be easy to grab. And now those units finally reunite. A lot of armored units in here. I'm curious to see who wins between the heavy spearmen and the Palace Guard. I suspect the heavy spearmen probably would. What's the cost difference between these two? If we were to compare the pair. So for the Palace Guard, we've got 100 versus 125 versus 80-28. So the heavy spearman is much cheaper. And obviously there's also a reduction in the cost on that. But at the same time, it's still, you know, it's, what is it, 80-30 is the normal cost for a heavy spearman. So they are quite a bit cheaper as well. So heavy spearmen, definitely something to watch out for. We can see the damage difference between these. Base damage difference of 1. When it comes to the health, 155 against the 140 of the heavy spearman. So I think overall, actually, you'd have the higher armor as well on the heavy spearmen. But I think overall, the armor and attack cancel each other out, and the extra health is what's going to matter in these fights. But I think at the end of the day, if you had to pick one, which one would you take? You'd still probably take the Palace Guard, because it's got the extra speed. And that really matters. You know, the Palace Guard, obviously, when it comes to a heads-up battle, is probably going to lose against the majority of melee infantry. You know, with the exception of, obviously, weaker infantry. Spearmen as an example. But, like, if you think men-at-arms, like English men-at-arms, or samurai, or, you know, Landsknecht, and any guy who's got their unique infantry out is absolutely going to destroy the Palace Guards. Where the Palace Guard excels is being annoying, being able to get behind those enemy lines, use its speed as an advantage. But we'll talk more about that later on, because we've got some more important things to talk about right now as Demu makes his way out here with his third pilgrim. Of course, the way the pilgrim system works is you start off with your safe passage, and then you can go into sanctuary, and then from there you can move into fortresses. Now, of course, you don't have to do it in that order. You could technically go for a fortress and then go into safe passage, or you could go safe passage and then a fortress and then sanctuary. Depends how you want to do it. But each one that you add is going to add additional pilgrims to your migration, to your pilgrimage. I think it's probably the better way to say it. Your pilgrimage. So you can technically get, I think it's up to 10 pilgrims traveling. And when we consider this, okay, so this is every minute, guaranteed. Every minute, they're going to be coming out here. So 130 gold, 130 gold, 130 gold. So 390. So call it 400 gold per minute that's coming out right now. These are the equivalent of 10 villages on gold. In fact, quite a bit more than 10 villages on gold right now. That's a lot of resources that are out here. So when you look at this number and you say, okay, Demu's behind 49 versus 75, well, yeah, but it's closer to like 59 to 75 realistically. And these guys don't take any population. That's the other thing to note, is you can't control them, but at the same time, you're not punished by having them. So a really cool little mechanic. But the economy is definitely starting to break away. If you had to make a summary, not even a, oh my god, a third TC. Or I tell you what, that's a bit scary. I feel like the second TC was all we really needed. The reason why I get a little bit hesitant whenever I see someone go for a third TC, it basically forces you to play one way. So I feel like the only thing you can realistically do in this situation is get a keep up. You need to get a keep up. Just because if the enemy attacks you, like if Demu knows about this third TC, if he scouted this out, you could basically just put the pressure on immediately and just kill the enemy. It's not even really up for discussion. The reality is you're investing so many resources into your economy right now. Like if we think about it, okay? Not only have you made that second town center, you've now made a third town center. So that already, you're talking about 750 resources. So now you've spent 1,500 resources, and then you need to spend 50 food on each villager. So let's say you made 10 villages. Well, all of a sudden, that's an extra 500 food now that you've paid for each one of those town centers. So call it 1,000. So we're up to 2,500. Now each one of those villages needs to go onto a farm because we're rallying out to the farms. All of these villages here. So the payoff time for these villages are so damn long. If you're rallying your villager like straight onto deer, right? Like they're going to pay themselves off pretty quick. But if you're rallying, like at the end of the day, look, if you rally onto wood and then you still make a farm, you're going to need to get farms down eventually. But when we look at these things and analyze these things and the risks that we're taking, this is a massive consideration that people often overlook, is the fact that if you're putting down a second or even a third TC at the time that you're transitioning to farms, this can massively offset, not even massively offset, but massively reduce the amount of time you've got to actually react to your opponent. And what we start to see now is that he will need to react. So the payoff time for this is probably going to be closer to around 6-7 minutes. It's only after that time frame that he's really going to start to reap the rewards from having this second TC or this third TC. And if we take a look, Demu has managed to secure all 3 sacred sites. This one in the north, I mean, at the moment, it doesn't really look like he's going for a quote-unquote sacred site victory. It's more looking like it's just for the sake of gathering the sacred sites and utilizing the gold that you get from it. But behind the scenes, we see Demu doing the same thing. So look, at the end of the day, I'm not too fussed. I mean, both of these players, I take it all back. I take it all back. Though, I'm kind of curious to see who this favors now. Because typically, you would say it favors the Chinese player. But you got to remember that while the Chinese player technically has faster generating villages through the Song Dynasty, the villagers from the Knights Templar are just better. They're objectively better. They are so good, these villagers. If we take a look at exactly how much they gather, you won't be able to see how much they gather because they're depositing their wood immediately, but they're also depositing 25% food. 20% food, which is a huge amount. It means for every 10 you're gathering, you're gathering 2. And on top of gathering that food, they're also gathering their wood faster. And this just really starts to compound, and it means that your vills are paying themselves off very, very quickly because you want to be gathering wood, you want to be spending wood because you gather wood much faster. Obviously, you're going to be looking to transition to farms as well, but it's not as set in stone the same way that the Chinese have to transition into farms. And because you've got map control, it also means that you've got access to things like berries, deer, boar. We've seen players on both sides obviously take those resources. It's not only the Knights Templar, but it just means that you've got a bit more of the map. But at the moment, if you had to divide the map, you'd say 1/3 over to the Chinese and 2/3 over to the Knights Templar. That's the way it seems at the moment. Ooh, got to be careful right here, my Chinese friend. That is a lot of units that you're expending just to chase that single Knights Templar, or that single Templar, brother. But the wall's starting to come up across this top side of the map. A couple of crossbows together with the heavy spears as well. And Lancer up against the Templar, brother. You can see the health difference on these. 230 versus 275. Not going to make a difference in the end because there was quite a bit of health that was already lost on that unit. Another fortress going to be coming up for Demu behind the scenes and a little bit of a counterattack as well as all the cavalry now move to the sacred site in the south. He's got 6 minutes to neutralize this sacred site victory. Keep that in mind. So ideally at this point, what I'd love to see is like a stone wall coming up here. And then looking to throw down. Actually, you probably want to go somewhere even out over to the side. Are there large golds? There are large golds. So yeah, you'd probably want to do it out over on this side. So like a stone wall here, and then putting down your Great Wall Gatehouse just here so that you can defend this resource cluster. And then at the same time contest this sacred site. And then that basically means it's very difficult for your opponent to take that sacred site without you, without actually taking out your, I was about to say something else without your Great Wall Gatehouse. Apologies. I was about to say Gate of All Nations, which is a Civ 7 thing. Sorry, my brain's not firing on all cylinders just yet. Fortress coming through once again. That's not the same fortress. No, that was that fortress. Where's the next fortress? It's coming back down a little bit more defensive. We can see it's starting to rally in units. Both of these players building up on the military, but neither of them really committing just yet. Heavy spears together with the crossbows. I'm somewhat curious about where Demu looks to go in the Imperial Age, because he will have that option before him very, very shortly. Meanwhile, towards the middle of the map, where's that Boiling Oil? Boiling Oil is through. He's looking for a couple of emplacements. Going to start off with sprinkled emplacements. Boiling Oil doing a lot of work here. At the same time, units down towards the south going to be pulled away. Army for Demu going to come forward. It's got that extra range as well. He's trying to bring it around that corner. And now firing off, you can see the amount of damage he's able to do to these units very effectively, taking them out. A lot of range on these crossbows. Impressive amount of range, 5.75. He's also got the Vils repairing up on the backside. And now we can see the pop cap has been reached for our Chinese player. So he's definitely peaked a little bit before Demu. Demu's going to have a bit of a tough hold on his hand. We see the nest of bees goes down, but not without doing quite a bit of damage here. Second round comes off, only able to get a little bit of shots on there, but Demu once again able to survive for the moment. No strong siege here for our Chinese player means it's a difficult siege to actually make. I would encourage him go into battering rams. I would say avoid trebuchets. I'd say go into battering rams. But it is a bit harder because your opponent has got boiling oil. So you can't really go like battering rams and then dive the army underneath because you're just going to be hit with boiling oil all the time. But we do see the Great Wall Gatehouse coming up. He is going to go in the middle of the map. Yeah, so this was my initial thought as well. But I think like most things, your initial thought is normally wrong. And then after you've thought about it for a little bit, then it makes a bit more sense to do that next thing. So yeah, first impression was definitely to come here and do this. So, you know, hats off to him. But I feel like this was definitely the right play. Stonewall right here. Secure up all of these resources and then deny this sacred site as well. But I mean, this is probably going to be a little bit more fought. You know, if you put the Great Wall Gatehouse down here, like you put it down and then you never think about it again and the enemy never thinks about it again. But then I guess that also means that, you know, they never secure the sacred site. It also means they never challenge the resources down here. But we can see a keep is going to be coming down here. So he is still looking to secure those resources, which I think is definitely smart. But the age up now coming through for him, the Great Wall Gatehouse. On the other side of the map, we do have the Republic of Venice now coming through for Demu. So looking to try and take advantage of Venice and all of the unique options they've got available to you. So not only do you get multiple unique units, you also get a really cool upgrade to your markets, which basically allow you to trade resources a lot more effectively. So if we take a look at their bonuses, they reduce the change in the base buy or sell price by 75% when trading resources at the market. So if you think about like when you're buying resources at the market, like let's say you buy a whole bunch of stone. If you do that, stone's going to start at 170 gold per purchase. And then from there, it will go to 174, and then 178, then 182. It goes up by 4 each time. And the difference is that new? That's totally new, isn't it? I swear I've never seen that before. Why is it firing like a shotgun? I don't think I've ever... didn't it go do-do-do in the past? It never went... It went do-do-do. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm crazy. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing it, and then sometimes I feel like, no, they probably just added that. Anyway, with Venice, that's going to change though, and it will be from 170 to 174, 178 to 170, 171, 172, 173. So basically just makes it really, really good if you're thinking about playing into a little bit more of a defensive playstyle, because you can basically just buy a whole bunch of stone. But Treb's now starting to fire off. He's got the trebuchet emplacements out. Of course, needs to deny the Great Wall Gatehouse before he fights. He can obviously look to fight underneath the Great Wall Gatehouse. You can see the twin nest of bees up here on the edge of the landmark. It obviously has changed quite a bit. And there's the unit that he's going to have access to, the Condottiero, which is a very quick unit that gets bonus damage against hand cannoneers, or gunpowder units, and also takes less damage from gunpowder units. So I don't think it's got AoE damage from what I've seen, so even though it looks like it should have AoE damage, it doesn't. It's just got a big sword, a big two-hand sword with no AoE damage. And behind the scenes, we see he's dropped the triple market, and I think this is quite a common mistake that people make when they're playing Knights Templar and then go into Venice, because you also unlock the Venetian Trader. The only thing is with the Venetian Trader, there's a limit of 5 that you can build. So he'll be looking to trade somewhere around here, trade up to here maybe over to this side, but unfortunately not going to be able to do a whole lot with them, with all those markets. But now Demu looking to try and defend in this situation. Military a little bit far away. Treb still firing down at his opponent. You can see the Pilgrim's going to be running for dear life here as they're chased away from this army, from this position. Definitely a bit discombobulated in the chaos. And now Demu through the stealth forest. If we ride on board with our Chinese friend, he has vision from this outpost, so he knows exactly where this army is coming through from. Meanwhile, towards the center of the map, the Great Wall Gatehouse still under fire from these trebuchet emplacements. And more units continue to rally in for Demu. The numbers are looking good for him. Economy-wise, 134 against 120. Keep in mind, 4 relics in favor of the Chinese player compared to Demu with only the 1. But so far, both players are looking sturdy, looking strong in this late game. Though, I think for the Chinese, he probably wants to start thinking a bit more about hand cannoneers, which is going to play exactly into Demu and the way that he's gone for the Condottiero here through the Venetians. Of course, the Condottiero, a very strong competitor up against the hand cannoneers, just because not only is it a fast unit as well, so it's going to be able to really get quite a lot of distance, but going to be able to make the distance. What's the term I'm looking for here? Going to be able to close the distance. There we go. I got it eventually. These units are going to be able to close the distance with the hand cannoneers very well. And on top of that, they're quite resistant to the hand cannoneers. So Pyrotechnics upgrade is through. A little bit of extra range, and now on the defense, Demu once again looking to attack, looking to put pressure on his opponent. Crossbow numbers looking very good on the backside, working down all of these individual units. They're a bit stacked up for the moment, but the trebuchet emplacement still doing work on the Great Wall Gatehouse, continuing to rally in more and more heavy spearmen. And I tell you what, these guys have just been the highlight for me this game. You can see them just crushing through everything. The fact that they're heavy just makes them so much stronger in these battles, and they take a lot less damage. You can see they've got 7 armor at the moment up against these palace guards with their 18 attack. Might not seem like much, but the difference between 11 and 18 is quite a bit. And hand cannoneers now forced back away from this defensive, or rather this offensive front line. More units rallying in, and I think it might even make sense when your opponent goes into the Republic of Venice not to go into hand cannoneers, which can be very difficult as the Chinese. The fact that Demu's almost able to force you not to do that. But the Condottiero is especially powerful just because of the bonuses that it gets for and against. So 20% damage reduction as well as double damage against the gunpowder units. So in the event that these units actually make the connection, they are going to destroy without a shadow of a doubt these units. And now we can see those Venetian traders making their way across the map very quick. The Venetian trader going to be traveling all the way down here. Let's see if we can spot out any more as they cross the map. It doesn't look like it. I think that might be the first one that's out. A little bit, I think they're a little bit more expensive. Yeah, a little bit more expensive to get, but very difficult to actually take out, though. We'll say that much. Now, one thing to note is there's also a nice little way that you can utilize Pilgrim loans. So they're a new mechanic available to the Knights Templar, and basically the way that it works is you get a whole bunch of food, you pay that food, and you're going to get yourself a bit of gold that returns back to you every minute. So here it's 900 gold per minute for 4 minutes if you pay 4,000 food, which is a pretty nice return on investment. So basically the way that it works is as the game goes on longer, you're going to get more farms, and then you can use those farms to generate gold through that way. So infinite forms of gold, which is absolutely lovely. But now the Condottiero behind enemy lines, the ultimate raiding unit, perhaps it could be. I mean, how are you going to catch these guys? They're so damn quick. They've got a movement speed of 1.44. That's their base movement speed. When they're charging, they're going to be even faster. But now those palace guards, together with the hand cannoneers, are going to start looking to try and hold this defense a bit more. Needs to seal that front door and make sure no further units get through. Vill count going to start to drop here. Demu taking out more than 40 villagers this game. And it looks like our Chinese friend could be in a little bit of trouble here, as that Vill count has now started to seriously drop. Now, keep in mind, he does have the 3 town centers online, which means that he's going to be able to rebuild that town or that villager population relatively quickly, which is always one of the positives about having that 3rd town center, is that you're going to obviously build faster than having 2 town centers. But one of the most important things here is just making sure that he's allocating the right amount of army to deal with these raids. And we can see right now that as the horsemen come to the front, he's definitely overreacted in bringing back these units. So Demu doing a wonderful job to bring those back. Keep now comes online. Elite crossbowman could have a little bit of trouble here. He might have to fall back towards the gap. Otherwise, these units are going to get eaten alive. And there we go. He now falls back away from this position. Needs to rally in more condottiero to the front line so that the crossbows don't fall. The crossbow is obviously the most vulnerable part of this army. And there they go now. The condottiero looking to repel these units on the front, but not particularly strong, at least not compared to something like the Teutonic Knight, that is for sure. But what they lack in strength, they definitely make up for in speed and in bonuses against gunpowder units, which is very specific. So good luck trying to get that to work. But so far, I mean, 16 hand cannoneers out from our Chinese player. Could probably be a lot more. Is he intentionally holding off on pumping the gas just because he knows about the power of the condottiero? Could be the case. It's down to 14. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, quite a bit of gold that's being gathered. He's already picked up Copulation as well, which means he's going to be gathering 15% extra gold on top of his extra 20% gold from the Imperial official. Trebuchet out here. Looking to try and work down all of the units around. This Trebuchet looks so damn good, doesn't it? It's a big boy. Treb going down. Big shots landing out. It's always hard to make out these battles when they're in the stealth forest like this. But 37 minutes into this game, and there doesn't appear to be a clear way forward for either of these players. I think at the moment, Demu's doing a good job with the split pressure. But the reality is that, I mean, resources are still looking pretty good for our Chinese player. As long as he's keeping up with the production, he lost quite a lot of vills back here on the farm. So I think the most important thing is re-walling and then just looking to continue the aggression. The only thing is, and I will say this right now, I don't know how you go against battling against a civilization that's just got this much infinite gold, right? Like, if we were to look at it from the perspective of Demu, he's got the pilgrims just make their way across the map. He's got so many pilgrims, 6 pilgrims, each one of them making a huge amount of gold as they come through. It means from Demu's perspective, he's just got constant gold coming through. Look at the numbers that we're seeing right here. More than 8,500 resources per minute coming through for him compared to his opponent. And Demu once again able to overwhelm a huge amount of units in the queue, ready to go. Bombards getting eaten alive. The condottiero combo is definitely looking a little bit more fierce now all of a sudden. And keep in mind, the condottiero does actually it only costs gold. So the fact that you've got these infinite gold generation mechanics, things like the Venetian trader as well, obviously going to play into this quite a bit. But if we take a look right here, you'll see just how much he's gathering. So it's 130 plus the extra 20%. So 156 on each of these, and he's bringing in a lot of them. Meanwhile, towards the front, our Chinese friend is slowly adding in more hand cannoneers, but of course the condottiero going to be the trump card in this situation, and you can see why in some matchups it can make a lot of sense to be picking around your enemy civilization rather than picking around which unit is objectively the strongest. Because while something like the Teutonic Knight might be very cool, it's also very slow. And with things like Serpentine Powder, which allow you to have that increased movement speed, how are you going to be killing these hand cannoneers? Whereas with the condottiero, you can just get in, get on top, and you're not going to be able to get kited. So I think it's quite a smart move here to go for this unit. A very cool unit. The Venetians. I like them a lot. I like them a lot. They give a lot of flexibility, and we haven't even really talked about, we haven't talked, at least in this cast, about their unique military unit out on the water. They've got another one that they can utilize, but the triple treb now firing off. And Demu holding for the moment. 39 minutes into this game as he begins to take push to shove. Treb's firing off. Down upon that unit. Reinforcements continue to come through. It's just palace guards together with the hand cannoneers. He's got a lot of gold in the bank, but not a lot of food in the bank. You can see just how much damage Demu was able to do in that last push. Really just, well, not even push, that last raid. And now because of that, it means all of this production is coming out so much slower. The numbers should be higher. He's down about 25 population, somewhere in that region, and because of that, you can see just how much Demu's able to overcome even then. Have a look at the Vil count difference. About 30 to 40 Vils difference between these two. And yet Demu's still able to keep up. And look at the economy as well. The economy is ludicrous. We got to talk about this Knights Templar economy, dude. That's kind of wild. That is kind of crazy. Just how far that goes. And now all of the infantry together with the cav going to be running into the back line. There's no walls up here. He hasn't secured any of this. And can we just talk how beautiful this base building is? Oh my lord, Talisman, is that you? 2208? Wow, look at this. He's got all three. Oh my lord, you hate to see it. What happened to such a beautiful base? Wow, 1, 2, 3 granaries in the middle with all of the mills around the outside. Not a single double farm. Beautiful. Anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. Go check out Demu. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And, well, that was a good game. Good fun.